Welcome back everyone to Heroes and Villains HQ. I have a really special X-Men Marvel Legends review for you today. I'm going to take a look at Professor Charles Xavier in the hover chair. This deluxe set was released last year and I have finally picked it up. So really excited to get this cracked open and shown off with all of you. But before we crack him open, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below so you can stay tuned for more Star Wars and Marvel content on my channel. But let's go ahead and jump into the Professor X review. But before we jump into the video, I am going to be giving away the Star-Lord Marvel Legends figure at 500 subscribers. All you have to do to enter is subscribe to the channel, and when we hit 500 subscribers, I'll release a giveaway video for you to comment on, and I'll pick a winner from there. But back to the video. Alright, now let's take a look at the deluxe box that Professor X in the hover chair comes in. Now this one is significantly larger than a standard box. You can see well over double the size. This one sports two important logos, obviously the X-Men, which is where the figure is from, but also this was a part of the 80-year celebration of Marvel, which makes sense. Professor X is such a pivotal character in the Marvel universe. You also have the X up at the top there. On the sides, you have this really great art of Professor X in his hover chair. And then on the back of the box, you can see the description, the character, as well as all of the different features and accessories. Lastly, it does have a little advertisement here for Deadpool and his scooter. So really awesome kind of checklist for you there. But overall, a very nice package. A very large one, but you can see all of the pieces that come with this set. The hover chair, the actual hovering piece. So let's go ahead and crack this open. Now before we take a look at the figure, this is the card back inside of the box, and I just thought it was really cool to share with you all first before we take a look at the figure. So it does have all of the X-Men characters we know: Professor X, Cyclops, Rogue, Wolverine, Storm, Jubilee, Jean Grey, Beast, and Gambit. So they're all on display here in their classic X-Men uniforms. Again, a really awesome card back and one worth sharing. Okay, so what's included? Now you obviously get all of the pieces to the hover chair, as well as Cerebro, the helmet, and a little effect there. You get the swappable head, the blanket, and then obviously Professor X. So let's go ahead and put together the hover chair. Okay, this is definitely one of the coolest figures I own in my collection to date. This, just all around, is such an accurate depiction of Professor X in that classic yellow hover chair. And obviously, as you saw, you have to put it together with 4 total parts, the 2 outside plastics, and then the back and bottom of the seat. I guess a 5th part is the actual hover portion there at the bottom. And then you can slot Professor X in, as well as his blanket. So in terms of functionality with the hover chair, there isn't any, sound effects or movement or anything like that, but it does have these 2 side panels that slide off to the side, and you can see some controls there. And take Professor X out. So you can just take it out like that, and then you have these 2 controls there and there. And then you can just close them back up by sliding the panels back. So that's a really nice added feature. And then again, you could just slot Professor X in like that, and then take his blanket and put that in at his legs. So really, really nice. You also get Cerebro, so you can go ahead and put that on his head with the effect. And I think that's also a really cool look. And then you also do have the swappable head here that you can go ahead and put on top of them. The glasses are removable. You get a closer look there. Quite creepy. So there's that. But I think that this is definitely a really great way to display the figure, just classic Professor X in his hover chair. I think one thing I'm not even talking about right now is how great the color looks. It's not just a pure yellow. It has some kind of like glitter glossiness to it, so it's kind of shiny rather than just being a matte yellow, which I really appreciate. It also has some nice metallic detailing on it right here with that control panel and on the other side here. And then obviously you saw the nice detailing on the side panels. And then you have the nice bluish green here in the seat. Professor X in his green suit, a nice striped tie. Like I said, just all around they hit all of the markers that you would want to see on a definitive version of Professor X. And then as for the figure, articulation's really outdated in the legs. Again, that makes sense as why that hasn't been upgraded. As for the top half here, you do have double jointed pinned arms. So you do have some good articulation, but a nice green suit. But really what you're coming for is the head mold. And I think they did a really good job there capturing the look of Professor X, especially with those eyebrows. And then he's got his two hands. I gotta say, I'm actually surprised, given that it's a deluxe set, that it didn't come with just a pair of standard hands that he could rest on the hover chair. It's only got his action pose hands. So I do have an upcoming review of Professor X and Magneto from the Fox universe, that 2-pack. And that Professor X does include a couple of swappable hands to give him both just a regular sitting look on his wheelchair and then an action pose. But this one only comes with the action pose, so a little surprised. But again, I think this is how you would display it anyway, so I don't think you're missing out there. So all in all, a really, really awesome X-Men figure. Probably the best Professor X on the market currently, and you can't beat the hover chair. You really can't. So what are my final thoughts on the Professor X in hover chair deluxe series X-Men Marvel Legends figure? This one is so freaking cool. I love the hover chair. The coloring on it as well is great, with kind of a shiny metallic look under that matte finish. So really, really awesome piece. The Professor X figure looks great and matches up as how we see him in the animated show. And I think right now is probably the best time to pick him up. He typically retails for $50. He's on sale consistently for about $40 on Amazon. And right now, if you catch it at the right time, they're running a 10 to 20% off additional coupon on Amazon. So I was able to pick mine up for $34, which is far and away worth the money for this figure, especially displaying this one next to your other X-Men 97 figures if you have any of those. So I highly recommend you watch this one on Amazon. And if you're even, again, on the fence about picking this one up when you see it on sale, I would grab it now before it's no longer in stock. So thank you all so much for watching this Marvel Legends review of Professor X in the hover chair. Really awesome and excited to get this figure on my shelf finally. So again, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video and the review, hit the thumbs up down below. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button as well so you can stay tuned for more Star Wars and Marvel content. But thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.